Hello, this is Ron Talaya presenting the Money Guide Pro details of Michael and Sarah Tanner for the fin536 Case 2 video presentation submission. Starting with Sarah and Michael's personal details, we validate their date of birth. Michael's date of birth, 6/15/1975. Sarah's date of birth, 6/25/1973. Employment status. Both Michael and Sarah are employed. Michael's annual salary is $120,000. Sarah's annual salary is $50,000. They are currently married and reside in the state of Texas. They also have one child, Kennedy, daughter age 11. The couple identified the desire to live an active lifestyle, provide opportunities to help others, and travel before and in retirement. Anticipated retirement age for Michael is 65, with a life expectancy until 91. For Sarah, also anticipated retirement will be 65, with life expectancy until 93. The couple has identified two important financial needs. Provide for basic living expenses during retirement and provide for the first 4 years of college for their daughter Kennedy. Also included were several wants, with the annual trip being the highest priority, followed by a car for Sarah every 3 years and a car for Mike every 5 years. Other goals were providing for 3 years of law school for Kennedy, a wedding account for Kennedy, a gift to Texas A&M Commerce in the amount of $50,000 at the end of Sarah's life, and finally $20,000 reserved for a 50th wedding anniversary celebration. Moving to expected retirement income, we see that Michael is eligible for Social Security benefits. However, Sarah is ineligible due to her participation in the state pension plan. Once again, we set the retirement age to 65. In addition to Social Security, other retirement income is anticipated. Sarah expects $12,000 a year from the state pension plan. Michael also expects teaching part-time and providing an additional $12,000 on an annual basis. Invested assets total $456,000, consisting primarily of Roth IRA and tax-deferred retirement accounts. Also included was a joint savings and a 529 plan. The couple is also willing to contribute extra savings, up to $8,500 a year if needed. Other assets consist of a primary residence valued at $200,000. The couple also maintains insurance policies on both Michael and Sarah's life, with a death benefit of $1 million and $500,000 respectively. The only debt identified was a home mortgage with an estimated outstanding balance of $154,000, providing a net worth of $501,938. For risk willingness, we find that Michael has a risk score of 100, which is much higher than the average risk tolerance for his age group. Sarah has a risk tolerance of or a risk willingness of 50, which is about average for our age group. Combined, we have set the risk willingness at 75, which is slightly higher than the age group norm. The risk willingness provides a suggested portfolio assigning higher allocations to stocks, providing a higher return, but also a higher level of risk or volatility. When we take this suggested portfolio and replicate the returns over the Great Recession period, we see that the portfolio loses 33% of its value. The suggested portfolio approximates the current level of investments closely on a return and standard deviation basis as identified within the portfolio table. Here we see the current portfolio and its allocations and its return profile and risk profile. Here we see the suggested portfolio, average return profile, and also risk profile. Now, given current and expected financial resources and identified financial goals and objectives, we need to make a determination of whether we met our goal or we'll be able to meet our goals. To do so, we run a Monte Carlo simulation, which is performed and provides 1,000 random portfolio return profiles and compares those return profiles with our financial objectives and goals. Determining the success of each trial and the confidence level that all financial objectives will be met. In the current scenario, we find the simulation a probability of success of only 20%, which is low based on a target confidence of between 70 and 90%. Based on the current results in a financial plan, we look at other alternatives to the current plan. To do so, we modify the plan or certain attributes of the financial goals to come up with an alternative solution. We can utilize SuperSolve within MoneyGuide Pro to determine modifications to the plan based on methodology within MoneyGuide Pro, where we set a target confidence level and allow the model to refine our current financial plan and address shortfalls while still ensuring resources are allocated to higher priority needs and wants. So based on this recommended scenario that was derived from SuperSolve, we can drill into our summary of changes or our recommended changes to our financial goals and objectives. So here we have our current scenario and our recommended scenario. Now we can see right off the bat, we are expected to increase our retirement ages. So the recommended scenario has both Michael and Sarah working longer. Also, total spending for the life plan decreases sharply in the recommended scenario by 27%. Savings stays relatively stable or unchanged with a slight increase in savings required, and portfolio allocations remain consistent nearly from current plan to recommended plan, with only an additional 4% allocated to stock, as the current plan already had a level of risk that was comparable to the suggested plan. But most of the emphasis of the recommended changes was essentially drilling down was focused on expense reduction or modifying some of the goals and objectives or decreasing them to some degree. So we can see the recommended changes. The bequests reduce by $22,000, for instance. The wedding plans reduced by nearly $9,000. and certainly other reductions that were required in order to have a high level of confidence that we're going to be able to meet the retirement goals and objectives, and particularly most of the emphasis placed on the needs category within the SuperSolve application. Now, in addition to SuperSolve, we can run other scenarios within Money Guide Pro. For instance, we can utilize the play zone and take our recommended scenario and change the assumptions or the levels to see what the impact. For instance, a play zone, if we wanted to see if Michael wanted to retire early, what would be that impact in isolation to the plan and our confidence level. So we can see immediately it dropped pretty quickly. Same thing if we lowered Sarah's. So by making those modifications, we can tailor specifically the needs and wants that we have identified and make those modifications and weigh those relationships and what would be most important to either Mike or Sarah to either reduce or something that they feel very comfortable that they have to maintain. And at least they can see the immediate impact to the success level right within the application relatively quickly and easily. But at this point, this concludes my presentation, and I thank you very much.